There is a view that comes after a long and difficult climb. You have walked through the dark forests of your own past. You have faced the dragons of your deepest fears. You have learned to navigate by the compass of your own soul. And now you have reached a kind of summit. From this high place you look down and you see the world differently. You see the patterns, the unconscious games, the frantic chasing that you were once a part of. You see the world of the path, the world of the sleeping, and you are filled with a strange mixture of compassion and distance. For the first time you feel a sense of clarity, a sense of peace. You feel awake. But with this awakening comes a new and unexpected companion, a profound and deeply aching loneliness. You try to speak of what you have seen, but your words are met with blank stares. You try to share your new map, but you find that no one else is interested in your journey. The things that once connected you to others, the casual complaints, the shared anxieties, the common dreams, no longer hold any meaning. You are a citizen of a country that no one else can see. And so you retreat into your solitude, believing that this is the noble price of enlightenment. You tell yourself that this loneliness is a sign of your growth. But what if it is not a sign of your growth? What if it is the most sophisticated and dangerous trap your ego has ever created? What if this noble loneliness is not a symptom of your awakening, but the very thing that is preventing it from being complete? This is a look into that gilded cage. You will come to see that the feeling of being separate and more aware is not the end of the ego's journey, but its most clever disguise. You will understand that the first great journey of the soul is to climb the mountain and find yourself. But the second and far more difficult journey is to climb back down and learn to live in the world again. And you will discover that true awakening is not found in the solitude of the summit, but in the messy, compassionate, and deeply human work of connection. To understand this trap, you must first understand the nature of the ego. The ego is the I, the captain of your ship. The initial stages of inner work are a battle to dethrone a tyrannical ego, the one that is addicted to pain, driven by fear, and lost in projection. But the ego is a master of survival. It does not simply die. When it is cast out of one kingdom, it immediately seeks to build another. If the old ego found its identity in worldly success, in money, in status, in being right, the new spiritual ego finds its identity in being awake. Think of a king who is overthrown in a revolution. He is stripped of his crown, his robes, his palace. He is cast out into the wilderness. But he does not stop being a king in his own mind. He simply changes his costume. He puts on the humble robes of a hermit. He makes a crown of thorns. He declares his new palace to be a simple cave. He is no longer the king of worldly things, but he is now the king of humility, the king of suffering, the king of being more spiritual than the fools who still live in the old palace. He has not transcended his ego. He has simply given it a new and more pious name. This is what happens after your initial awakening. The part of you that says I has attached itself to your spiritual progress. Your identity is no longer I am a successful lawyer, but I am a person who is on a journey. I am a person who has faced their shadow. I am a person who is conscious. The symptoms of this trap are subtle, because they are cloaked in the language of spirituality. It is the secret, quiet pleasure you feel when you see others caught in the drama that you have transcended. It is the compulsion to talk about your healing journey, to explain your new insights, to subtly position yourself as a teacher to your friends. It is the growing impatience you feel with the unconscious conversations of your family, the superficial concerns of your colleagues. Each of these is a small act of self-congratulation. Each one whispers the same seductive story. I am different. I am ahead. This is the loneliness of the summit. But it is not a noble loneliness. It is the loneliness of superiority. The cost of living on this lonely mountain is the very thing you sought in the first place. True, authentic connection. The spiritual ego creates a new, invisible wall between you and the world. You have become like a biologist who has spent years studying a forest. They know the Latin name for every tree. They understand the ecosystem. They have mapped the entire terrain. Now they live in a sterile glass observation tower, high above the forest floor. From their tower they can see everything. They can analyze the forest, judge the forest, and feel a sense of intellectual mastery over it, but they can no longer feel the damp earth under their feet. They can no longer smell the scent of pine after the rain. They can no longer touch the rough bark of a single living tree. They have traded the messy, unpredictable experience of being in the forest for the clean, controlled observation of the forest. They have traded participation for separation. This is the tragedy of the spiritual ego. You become an observer of life, not a participant. You are so busy analyzing the unconsciousness of others that you forget how to simply have a meal with them. You are so focused on the meaning of the moment that you miss the simple human joy of it. This is not freedom. It is a sterile, lonely, and deeply arrogant prison. And there is an even deeper cost. The spiritual ego believes it has arrived. It believes that by reaching the summit, the journey is over. This is the death of all real growth. You are like a climber who has fought their way up a treacherous mountain in a thick fog. They finally break through the clouds and arrive on a small, sunlit peak. They plant their flag. They declare victory. I have reached the summit, they say, but they do not realize that what they have climbed is merely a foothill. The true, vast, snow-covered peak of the mountain is still hidden in the clouds, towering thousands of feet above them. Their belief that they have arrived is the very thing that prevents them from continuing the real climb. And what of the shadow? The spiritual ego believes it has dealt with its shadow, but it has simply created a new, larger one. All the unenlightened qualities that you now judge in others, their materialism, their unconsciousness, their anger, their ignorance, are your own shadow, now projected onto the entire world. The world becomes a dark, sleeping place that exists to highlight your own light. So what is the cure? If the first journey was the ascent up the mountain, the second and more important journey is the descent. The goal is not to stay on the lonely peak. The goal is to bring the wisdom of the summit back down into the messy, complicated, and beautiful valley of ordinary human life. This is the journey from transcendence to immanence. It is the practical and humbling work of embodying your awakening. It begins with the conscious intention to find the teacher in the unawakened. You must become a gold miner, but now you are not mining for the gold in your own darkness. You are learning to see the gold in the mud of the ordinary world. You look at your materialistic friend, and instead of judging them, you look for the hidden gold of their appreciation for beauty and craftsmanship. You look at your angry relative, and you look for the hidden gold of their fierce passion and their loyalty. This practice of compassionate seeing is an act of profound humility. It is the beginning of the descent. The next step is to embrace the mundane. The spiritual ego is addicted to peak experiences, the profound meditation, the deep insight, the meaningful conversation. It is bored by the ordinary. The cure is to find your spirituality not just on the meditation cushion, but in the washing of the dishes. There is an old Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The tasks of life do not change. What changes is the consciousness you bring to them. Can you feel the warmth of the water as you wash the dishes? Can you be fully present with the simple rhythmic act of chopping a vegetable? This is the work of grounding your awakening in the real world. It is the act of finding the sacred in the ordinary. And finally, you must learn to serve silently. The spiritual ego wants to be a teacher. It wants its wisdom to be seen and acknowledged. The true journey of descent is to help, to love, to serve without needing any recognition at all. You give your gift and then you walk away. Your reward is not the thank you. Your reward is the act of giving itself. When you begin this second journey, this descent from the mountain, the final and true transformation occurs. The painful loneliness begins to dissolve, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You are no longer separate from it. You realize you are not a lighthouse standing alone on a high, cold rock, shining your light down on the struggling ships in the stormy sea below. You are one of those ships. You are in the same storm on the same sea. The only difference is that you have learned through your long journey how to navigate by your own inner light. Your purpose is not to judge the other ships for being lost in the fog. Your purpose is to sail alongside them, your light quietly showing them that another way is possible, not by shouting instructions, but by the simple, humble fact of your own steady course. This is the end of the spiritual ego. It is the end of the trap of loneliness. It is the beginning of a true, embodied awakening. You are no longer a disembodied soul, observing the world from a place of sterile perfection. You are a whole human being with your feet on the ground, your heart open to the beautiful, messy, and imperfect world, and you are finally, truly connected.